I didn't see the Tom O'Horgan production, so I knew the album. That's really where I came from. And I was composing at the same time. I was a punk of 18 and I'd written my first show. And I know how good this is because I was jealous. So it took me a while to admit that I really liked it because I thought it was so good that it was, intimidating.
I grew up in my basement listening to, to the Brown album with my mom and dad on the record players. I mean, it's my favorite score, maybe of all time, one of my favorite ones of all time for sure. And it's my favorite Andrew Lloyd Webber, Tim Rice musical, and they have many that are great. But this one, there's just something so special about it. And I think because of the time that it was written and the material, the content, I just think it's all fabulous. It really is.
Tim and Sir Andrew were so young when they wrote this, but at close examination I'm seeing what a tremendously, wonderfully crafted piece of theater it is. They wrote a really good play. And when the material is this good and this strong, so much of your work is done for you.
I got to know Tim Rice in the early 90s and then Andrew a couple of years later. And we talked about doing a production, and it just never happened. The main thing that inspired me to come back to it is I have this remarkable company of actors at Stratford. So I felt like I could afford to take 30 people away, these very special people, and do Superstar elsewhere.
Dez's number one issue is telling the story, and he does an amazing job of telling the story and using every technical aspect that he has, and I think that's actually what Stratford Shakespeare Festival, what their primary drive is telling the story.
His big thing was inspired by two stories. One, he'd read that Andrew Lloyd Webber wanted to do this in a stadium setting, and the other one was Tim Rice talking about the love triangle between Jesus, Judas, and Mary. For all of us, what this meant is when we came in, we did a lot of dramaturgical research on the sources for the material, the play, and we treated it like a play.
Des is a genius with the stage, and he's made it very interesting to watch. He's made the storytelling like a film. It's just like back to back to back to back to back. You're on the edge of your seat because first of all, the music just rolls like a freight train, and he doesn't give you a chance to sit back. Like it's pretty awesome.
First of all, he's, from what I understand, holding to the original arrangements as close as we can, which is smart, I think, because there's certain expectations. It's in our collective consciousness, this music. So you have to stay true. The reinvention really is not an option, I don't think, in a show like this.
A lot of the productions in the past, you've seen them try to put it back in 33 AD with the desert scenes and all this and period clothing. Some of them have gone ultra modern with it, and this show actually kind of marries 33 AD with present day with future.
Des has really tried to make it, to keep it traditional, but there's a bit of updating too. There's some hip hop in it, and there's a great focus on the love triangle between Judas, Mary, and Jesus, which I don't know that we've ever seen that.
It's got a flavor of today's world in it, and I think that for me, that's what makes it contemporary. There's, a flavor of hip-hop in it. There's the technical element, like the ticker tape and that sort of thing that add a bit of a CNN, like it's happening right now kind of element to the story.
What makes it modern is what's happening today, Arab Spring. We're looking at this story through a completely different lens than we were 20 years ago.
You think about the Middle East, you think about peoples that are occupied, you think about underground movements, you think about the combination of politics and spirituality.
For me, Jesus Christ in this production is a human being battling human battles.
Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice both saw the show and they both said that it's perhaps the most amazing production of Superstar they've ever seen. If it rings true to the writers, then we're doing something right.
What we do and what Des does is tell the story better than anybody else. I think there's a really strong focus on what he's saying and what we're saying and what our version of what the Stratford Shakespeare Festival's gospel of Jesus is, and I think that's what we're getting. It definitely has his stamp on it.